Introduction. Imagine this. At 82, after a lifetime of calling the shots, I made a choice I thought would bring comfort, moving into a nursing home. My family cheered me on, promising care and peace. But what I found behind those doors wasn't the golden sunset I'd pictured. It was a slow unraveling of everything I held dear. Independence? Gone. Purpose? Lost. Privacy, health, even the feeling of being remembered, all stripped away in ways I never saw coming. And here's the kicker. Once you're in, getting out is a fight you might not win. I'm sharing 6 brutal truths I wish I'd known, not to scare you, but to arm you with the reality I missed. Stick with me to the end. These lessons could change how you or someone you love approaches this life-altering decision. You won't want to miss what's coming. Let's dive in. Loss of independence. When I moved into a nursing home at 82, I didn't expect the biggest shock to be the loss of my independence. I'd lived a full life, making my own choices, when to wake up, what to eat, how to spend my days. At home, I had routines that defined me, brewing coffee, cooking dinner, or taking a walk whenever I pleased. I could sit in my favorite chair with a book, surrounded by familiar comforts I'd collected over decades. But the moment I stepped into the nursing home, all of that vanished. It wasn't the small room or the unfamiliar faces that hit me hardest. It was realizing my time was no longer mine. Breakfast came at a fixed hour, whether I was hungry or not. Lights out happened when they decided, not when I was ready. Want to take a walk? I'd need permission, and even then, I'd wait for someone to assist me. Simple choices, what to eat, what to wear, became privileges, not rights. I remember my first week, waking up in a bed that didn't feel like mine. I reached for my book, only to realize it wasn't there. My chair, my books, my home, they were gone, replaced by sterile walls and a schedule I didn't create. Before moving in, I'd convinced myself it was the right choice. My family encouraged it, promising care and comfort. I believed them, but once inside, I saw the truth. Independence isn't just about big decisions. It's the small freedoms that make life yours. At home, I could decide to skip breakfast or stay up late reading. In the nursing home, those options disappeared. Even getting dressed felt like a task I had to negotiate. The staff were kind, but their system wasn't built for my autonomy. It was built for efficiency. The hardest part? Once you give up control, getting it back is nearly impossible. You adapt because you have to. You stop fighting the set meal times. You stop asking to go outside whenever you want. You mold yourself to their rhythm, but in doing so, you lose pieces of who you were. I'd always prided myself on my self-reliance, decades of managing my own life, my own space. Yet within weeks, I felt like a guest in someone else's world, no longer the master of my own. I saw it in others, too. Residents who'd once run households or built careers now sat passively, waiting for the next scheduled event. One man, George, an 84-year-old carpenter, used to spend his days fixing things at home. Here, with no tools or projects, his hands rested idle. "I feel useless," he told me, and I understood. When your ability to choose is stripped away, so is a part of your identity. Looking back, I wish I'd known how much I'd missed those small freedoms. The ability to cook a meal, even if it was just eggs. The quiet joy of watering my plants. The comfort of a late-night cup of tea on my terms. In the nursing home, those became distant memories. If you're considering this path, for yourself or a loved one, ask this. Are you ready to surrender the little things that make life yours? Because once they're gone, you'll feel their absence more than you ever imagined. Independence isn't just convenience. It's the heartbeat of a life well lived, and losing it changes everything. Feeling forgotten. When I moved into the nursing home at 82, I didn't anticipate how quickly I'd feel forgotten. At first, my family's reassurances kept me hopeful. They promised frequent visits, my daughter once a week, my grandchildren on weekends. In the beginning, they followed through. Those early days felt like I still belonged to the life I'd left behind. But as months passed, the visits tapered off. My daughter switched to phone calls. My grandchildren got caught up in school and work. Holidays, once filled with promises of togetherness, turned into excuses, last-minute changes that left me alone, watching others wait by the door for visitors who never came. It's not that my family stopped loving me. Life just moved on without me. When you're not part of their daily world, it's easy for them to assume you're fine, adjusting, not needing as much. But the truth is, The longer you're in a nursing home, the easier it becomes to fade from their minds. I'd sit in my room, holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to burden him, didn't want to beg for a visit. So, I'd put it down, staring at the walls, realizing this was my new reality, waiting for someone to remember me. The loneliness crept in slowly. At home, I'd been surrounded by my routines, my neighbors, my small but vibrant world. In the nursing home, that connection dissolved. The common room became a gallery of longing, residents gazing at the entrance, hoping today might be different. I saw it in their eyes, the quiet ache of being out of sight, out of mind. My family didn't mean to forget me, but their lives kept spinning while mine stood still. A call here, a quick check-in there. It wasn't enough to bridge the gap. I remember one evening, sitting alone after a holiday when no one showed up. I'd held on to their promises, picturing laughter and stories. Instead, silence. The staff were kind, but their care couldn't replace the warmth of being wanted. I started to feel like a footnote in my own story, someone who'd once mattered but now lingered on the edges. It's a strange thing, knowing you're loved but feeling invisible. The world outside keeps turning, and you're no longer part of its rhythm. Others felt it too. A woman down the hall once told me how her son used to call every Sunday. Now, she's lucky if it's once a month. Another man waited weeks for a visit that never came, his disappointment hardening into resignation. We all shared that unspoken truth. The longer you're here, the more you're forgotten. It's not intentional, it's human nature. People get busy, priorities shift, and you become a memory they mean to revisit but rarely do. If I'd known how isolating this would feel, I'd have fought harder to stay connected, to keep my place in their lives. At home, I was part of the daily fabric, conversations, meals, small moments. Here, I'm a voice on the phone, a name on a list. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready for the silence that comes when the world moves on without you? Because no matter how much you're loved, once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to slip out of mind. Feeling forgotten isn't just loneliness. It's losing the tether to the life you once knew. Loss of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home at 82, I thought I was just changing my address, not my reason for living. At home, I had purpose woven into my days. Watering my plants, brewing coffee, tidying up. These small tasks gave me a rhythm, a sense of responsibility. I decided to bake a pie or read a book, not because I had to, but because it mattered to me. Those routines kept me grounded, gave me something to wake up for. But in the nursing home, that all slipped away. Meals arrived without my input, rooms were cleaned by others, and the plants I once tended weren't mine to care for anymore. At first, I told myself it'd be a relief. No chores, no obligations, just rest. But within weeks, I felt the void. The days stretched endlessly, each one blending into the next with nothing to mark their passing. I'd sit, wait, and watch the clock, realizing I had no reason to get out of bed beyond the staff schedule. Purpose isn't just about big goals. It's the little things that make you feel alive. Without them, I started to drift. I wasn't alone in this. I saw it in other residents. People who'd once been teachers, builders, parents, now reduced to waiting for the next meal or activity they didn't choose. Take George, an 84-year-old carpenter I met here. At home, he'd spent his life crafting furniture, fixing whatever needed repair. His hands were always busy, his mind sharp with projects. In the nursing home, there were no tools, no wood, no garage to tinker in. I'd see him sitting, hands idle in his lap, staring at nothing. "I feel useless," he said one day, his voice heavy with a truth I recognized. I felt it too. Without something to do, something to care for, life loses its spark. The staff were kind, but their care couldn't replace the meaning I'd found in my daily rituals. Before moving in, I hadn't realized how much those routines kept me going. Even sweeping the porch or feeding the birds gave me a quiet pride. Here, everything was done for me, and while it sounded nice in theory, it left me hollow. I watched others fade too. People who'd once had energy now sat silently, their days a blur of monotony. The mind slows when there's nothing to engage it, and the body follows. I'd catch myself staring out the window, not because I wanted to, but because there was nothing else. Purpose isn't handed to you. It's built through action, and in a nursing home, action isn't easy to come by. If I'd known how vital purpose was, I'd have clung to it harder. I'd have fought to keep my hobbies, my small duties, my reasons to move. Here, it's a battle to hold on to what makes you feel alive. The staff might schedule a game or a sing-along, but it's not the same. It's not yours. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your days meaning? Because once you're in, finding it again isn't as simple as filling time. It's about resisting the slow fade of who you are. Losing purpose isn't just boredom. It's watching yourself disappear, one empty day at a time, until you're just another resident waiting for nothing. Faster health decline. When I moved into the nursing home at 82, I didn't expect my health to slip so fast. At home, I wasn't an athlete, but I managed, cooking meals, walking to the mailbox, stretching each morning. Those routines kept me steady, my legs strong, my body active. I'd shop for groceries, carry bags, move around the house without thinking twice. But once I settled into the nursing home, everything changed. Meals arrived on trays, no kitchen time required. If I needed something, a button brought help. It seemed convenient, until I realized how little I was moving. At first, I thought I was just resting. No more standing to chop vegetables or sweeping floors. But soon, my legs stiffened. Sitting became habit, and getting up felt harder each day. Muscles I'd relied on for years weakened faster than I'd imagined. I'd walk the halls sometimes, but it wasn't the same. No purpose, no distance, just pacing. Before I knew it, climbing out of a chair took effort I didn't used to need. The less I did, the more I lost, and it wasn't just me. I saw it in others, people who'd arrived on their own feet, soon leaning on walkers, then wheelchairs. Take Alice, an 81-year-old I met here. She was lively at first, insisting on daily walks around the facility. "I won't let age stop me," she'd say. But after a few months, her walk slowed. Then came the walker, then the wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and said, "I feel like I aged 10 years in months." I knew exactly what she meant. The nursing home made life easier, too easy. When everything's done for you, you stop using your body. My strength faded not because of illness, but because I stopped pushing myself. Before moving in, I hadn't considered how vital movement was. At home, even small tasks, watering plants, fetching the mail, kept me going. Here, those vanished. The staff encouraged rest, not activity, and I didn't fight it. But watching my body decline hit hard. I'd catch my reflection and see someone frailier than the woman who'd walked through those doors. It wasn't just physical, my energy dropped, my spirit dulled. Others showed it too. A man who'd gardened daily now sat slumped, his hands too weak to grip a trowel. The more help we got, the more we needed, a cycle I hadn't anticipated. If I'd known how quickly I'd weaken, I'd have resisted. I'd have walked more, stretched, refused to let convenience steal my strength. In a nursing home, easy sounds good until you realize it's a trap. Movement isn't just about getting around. It's about holding on to yourself. I saw residents arrive independent, only to need assistance within months. The decline wasn't inevitable. It was built into the system. If you're considering this step, ask, will you keep moving when everything's set up to let you stop? Because once you slow down, restarting is harder than you think. My health didn't fade from age alone. It slipped because I let it. The nursing home promised care, but it didn't warn me how fast I'd lose what I'd worked to maintain. Faster health decline isn't just a side effect. It's a cost of giving up the daily fight to stay strong, a cost I paid before I even understood it. Loss of privacy and dignity. When I moved into the nursing home at 82, I didn't realize how much privacy and dignity I'd lose. At home, I had my own space, my bedroom door shut when I wanted silence, my routines unfolded on my terms. I could dress, bathe, or sit quietly without eyes on me. But in the nursing home, that vanished. From day one, I felt exposed. Staff popped in and out, room checks were scheduled, and shared spaces left little room for solitude. Even basic acts, showering, using the bathroom, often meant waiting for help, stripping away the independence I'd known my whole life. I understood they were doing their jobs, but it didn't soften the blow. Want a shower? I'd wait until someone was free. Need the restroom? Pressing the call button meant patience, not privacy. Meal choices were limited. If I didn't like the day's menu, tough luck. My first week, I struggled with asking for permission to do things I'd once done without thought. At home, I'd never had to justify wanting a late-night glass of water or time alone. Here, every move felt monitored, every need a negotiation. Dignity erodes when you're no longer the one in control. Then there were roommates. I was lucky. Mine was kind, but not everyone got that. Some dealt with loud snoring, messiness, or cognitive issues that stole sleep and peace. I heard stories. A woman whose roommate shouted all night. A man whose space felt invaded by someone he didn't choose. Even with a good roommate, the room wasn't mine. My belongings shrank to fit a corner, my walls stayed bare. No matter how I tried, it never felt like home, just a place where I existed, watched, and managed. The loss hit deeper when staff knocked, but didn't always wait for an answer. They'd speak to me like a patient, not a person, their tone clipped and clinical. My routines, once sacred, bowed to their timetable. I remember struggling to dress one morning, fumbling with buttons, when an aide stepped in without asking. She meant well, but it stung. Decades of self-reliance reduced to someone else's task. Privacy isn't just space. It's the freedom to be yourself, unjudged. Here, I felt like a name on a chart, my humanity fading with each intrusion. I saw it in others, too. A woman down the hall winced when staff raised their voices, treating her like a child. A man who'd once run a business now waited for help to tie his shoes, his pride buried under necessity. We all surrendered something. Dignity traded for care we didn't want to need. At home, I'd been me, flawed, free, private. In the nursing home, I became a resident, a number, a body to tend. The walls closed in, not just physically, but emotionally, until I barely recognized myself. If I'd known how exposed I'd feel, I'd have fought to keep my space, my autonomy. If you're considering this, ask, are you ready to let go of the privacy that defines you? Because once it's gone, it's hard to reclaim. The nursing home promised safety, but it cost me the quiet dignity of living unseen, unheard, on my own terms. Loss of privacy and dignity isn't just inconvenience. It's watching your identity unravel, one unasked for hand at a time. Harder to leave. When I moved into the nursing home at 82, I thought it was temporary, a trial run I could undo if it didn't suit me. I told myself I'd go back home if I hated it. But I didn't realize how hard leaving would become. At first, it seemed simple. I'd just return to my old life. Yet, once I was in, the barriers piled up, physical, emotional, financial, until going back felt like a distant dream. The nursing home didn't just take my space. It reshaped my reality, making escape tougher than I'd ever imagined. My house sat empty after I moved. Maintaining it from afar grew tricky. Bills stacked up, repairs went undone. My kids started shifting things, selling furniture they thought I wouldn't need, even floating the idea of renting it out. When I mentioned leaving, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage alone? Isn't it safer here? Their concern was real, but it pinned me in place. I'd relied on their support to move in, and now they weren't sure I could move out. Home wasn't waiting for me anymore. It was slipping away, piece by piece. Then there was my health. At home, I'd cooked, cleaned, walked, small acts that kept me strong. In the nursing home, I didn't have to. Meals came to me, rooms stayed tidy without effort, and walking shrank to short shuffles. Months in, I wasn't the woman who'd arrived. My legs weakened, my confidence faded. The independence I'd once had eroded, and the thought of managing alone grew daunting. I'd adapted to their care, but it left me less capable of leaving. Fear crept in. Could I still handle my old life? That doubt kept me stuck. I wasn't alone in this. I met others who'd planned short stays, only to find the exit barred. One woman tried to leave after a year, but her house was sold, her savings drained by care costs. Another man wanted out, but his family worried he'd fall without round-the-clock help. The longer you stay, the more the nursing home becomes your world. Your old life fades, possessions gone, routines lost, strength diminished. Some lost the option entirely. For them, there was no going back. I saw it in their eyes, resignation where hope once lived. Nobody warned me how permanent it could feel. Moving in seemed reversible, a choice I could rethink. But the reality hit. Once settled, the obstacles multiplied. My kids saw me as fragile now, not the self-reliant mother I'd been. My body agreed, weaker from months of ease. Financially, returning meant restarting a life half dismantled. The nursing home didn't lock the doors, but it built walls I couldn't climb. I'd walked in expecting flexibility. I stayed because leaving felt impossible. If I'd known, I'd have guarded my options, kept my home intact, my strength up, my resolve firm. If you're considering this, ask, are you ready for a choice that might not unwind? Because once you're in, the nursing home sinks roots, emotional ties, physical decline, family doubt, making it harder to leave than you think. It's not just a move, it's a shift that can trap you, turning a temporary stay into a life I never planned. Harder to leave isn't just logistics, it's watching your freedom fade, one unmade decision at a time. Conclusion: nursing homes aren't inherently evil. Some provide a lifeline for those who genuinely need constant care, offering safety and support where it's otherwise out of reach. But don't let that promise blind you to the cost. It's not just a change of address. It's a surrender of so much that defines you. Independence slips through your fingers, purpose fades into monotony, privacy and dignity erode under constant watch, and health declines faster than you believe. You risk fading from the lives of those you love, becoming a memory they mean to revisit but rarely do. And once you're in, leaving isn't the simple escape you might imagine. It's a tangle of lost strength, shifted family dynamics, and a home that no longer waits. This choice reshapes your life permanently, often irreversibly, stripping away the small freedoms that make you, you. If my journey has opened your eyes or stirred your heart, don't let it end here. Subscribe to this channel for more hard-earned truths and stories that cut through the noise. Share this video with someone facing this crossroads. It might be the clarity they need before stepping into a decision they can't unmake. Your support fuels us to keep shining a light on what matters, sparking conversations that inspire and inform. Hit that like button if this moved you. Drop a comment with your thoughts. I read them all, and they drive me to keep going. Thank you for being here. Let's not just watch. Let's act, reflect, and hold tight to the lives we've built for as long as we can. See you in the next one.